Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Tai'Shar Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Sam.
I'm Will.
Here we are again discussing Path of Daggers. We're slogging away, and
Yes.
we're alternating back and forth, and this time it's Will's turn to do a little narrative discussion.
Yeah. And, honestly, guys, this episode may actually run even shorter than our short episodes have been because not a lot happens in these chapters.
That's true. Very
even
true.
though we pace these out based off of the length of the chapters.
I think I could summarize most of it with this phrase: Perrin took a walk.
Yeah. 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 It's like Perrin walks around, he meets Morgaze and doesn't know that's who it is. And that's kind of
That's
the
what's
gist.
happening. Yep. We're going to talk through it anyway.
Yeah. Don't worry. We're going to go through it. All right. So, chapter 7, a goat pin. Okay. Honestly, as I finished this chapter, I turned back and I was like, why was it called a goat pin? And I'm sure it was in there.
Were there goats at some point?
I was.
Oh wait! The goat pin is where Morgaze's people were.
Is that where they were?
I think so. Yeah, I think they were in a goat pen for some reason. That's totally fair though. I mean,
yeah. So Perrin and his entourage are outside the town Bethal in Gildan, not as Michael Kramer calls it Giladon. He adds an extra syllable in there for some reason.
I always read it as Gelden, so.
Yeah, so that's, to me, that makes more sense than Giladon. There is absolutely no no vowel between the L and the D there. If I accidentally call it Giladon, it's because of listening to Michael Kramer too much. So
fair enough.
Perrin has been sent there to parley with Alliandre, who doesn't have the armies to keep Massima's forces at bay. Everyone's concerned about the bolt of the one power that shot across the sky.
Oh yeah, we're going to be hearing about that for a while. Everybody's speculating about it.
Right.
Yeah, just do that off camera, please. We know what it was. You don't.
Yeah, it's one of these things where
we're rolling our eyes.
Yeah, and it was it was intriguing because it's like, oh, it used both Sidene and Sagar.
Forsaken, so we need to be on the lookout for those guys. I mean, you should be, but not for this reason.
Right. It's like, oh well, moving on. Perrin sends Barrelane in along with her Aes Sedai advisor Nura and her captain of her wing guard to speak with Alliandre, because he correctly surmises that she would probably be the best one to have the discussion. You have an Aes Sedai, you have a captain there, you've got Barrelane, who's actually pretty good at handling the politicking of stuff. Fael seems fine with this, actually, until Perrin apologizes to her for it. Seriously, Perrin.
Stop it, man. Learn your lesson here.
It's like Rachel Hollis said, girl, stop apologizing. About that time, Aram reports that there's a group of brigands nearby attacking some travelers. So Perrin intervenes with the help of Adara, who's one of the wise ones, who is also here with Perrin, I guess.
That gets confusing.
Anyway, as the brigands scatter, one of the travelers starts to flee, and she's on horseback. Perrin chases her down and assures her that she can rest safely with them. So this traveler calls herself Megden, but we know her as Morgaze, the Queen of Andor, who's traveling with Leaning, Talentvore, and Master Gil, among others. Perrin has never met Morgaze, though, so he takes her false persona as a lady's maid at face value. Though he does seem to detect that there's something a little off about her.
Fishy about it, about the whole thing. So they're hiding something, and he's a little bit curious about what, but not that curious.
Right. He's like, look, I got other stuff to worry about if you want to lie about whatever. And he does repeatedly say that her face looks familiar. And in one of the next couple of chapters at some point, she says something about Andor, and he's like, oh, she reminds me of Elaine.
Yeah.
One of the brigands that they caught reveals that these aren't actually brigands at all, but they are men who follow the prophet. He's got a collection of ears that he has cut off to prove... Ears.
I thought it was going to be scalps. But no, ears.
Yeah. I mean, it's not quite as bad as scalps, I guess.
Right. I guess you could live without your ear. I mean,
Yeah, right.
but
Yeah, be tougher to live without the top of your head, I guess.
yeah.
Anyway, it really, I think the main reason that he had the collection of ears is just to prove that the prophet and his men are just the absolute worst.
Mm-hmm.
He tells the man, Perrin, that is, tells the man that anyone caught cutting off people's ears will be hanged, which is kind of like, I feel like he should have said, hey, this should go without saying.
Right.
And
let's
he
just
actually
reiterate this point here.
Right. He actually does kind of say, like, I would hang you right now, but I want to kind of make an example of you and leave you to go tell the prophet.
Get out of here, you scamp.
So he goes running off. So Megden, who, by the way, I intentionally misspelled her name in the notes because the way that it's spelled actually is like Magdane or something. I don't know. It's whatever. And Megden is the way that they say it in the audiobook. So that's the way I'm spelling it.
I would never have known.
Yeah. She doesn't seem keen on hanging around, but after she hears the way Perrin deals with this dude, she seems kind of impressed. So she's like, I think I will chill here with you, Lord Perrin.
Don't have anything else to do, really. Anywhere else to be, since I'm not a queen anymore.
I've got nothing else going on. And so Perrin's party gets a noble woman in disguise, +3 to guile rolls, and +10 to entitlement rolls. And okay, I do have to, I know we've beaten this dead horse, but this is the Megden we meet that is the same woman who was forcibly violated just a few, like maybe weeks before.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
If that, it's been pretty recent.
Right.
And like I said, I know we've talked about this to death, but I'm just struck by how her personality has been totally unaffected by that scene, which to me further reinforces, like, you and I both talked about missing that,
right?
And on our first read through, and I'm like, it kind of actually it doesn't show up. It doesn't.
Right. There's not enough consequences from it.
Right. For it to.
Yeah. I feel like Jordan probably was trying to show like she's such a strong woman because she's queen.
Right, sure.
But like, there's a point at which it's just not realistic anymore, because if somebody goes through that sort of thing, there just really is going to be trauma, and that's just being human. Like,
yeah, exactly. I'm not saying that she would be completely crushed, that she would be like a completely different person.
But there would be more consequences, more of an impact on her dealings with people,
and especially since it was so recent to me, there would probably be some marks of trauma, and I guess you could argue that like her running away initially from Perrin might have been.
So. Yeah, but I feel like it's a weakness of having a shorter time scale that we have right now, as opposed to the first few books where things are stretched out. When things last months and months to a year, you can sort of hand wave that sort of thing. Like, well, maybe she had time to get past it. Well, she has not had time to get past it.
Yeah.
And maybe you could almost argue she just hasn't had time to process it. Maybe there's something there, just in the constant, craziness. But yeah, I think I take your point that like, you'd think at some point in this book or the next few, there would be some reckoning with that.
Right.
It's just like there's so much else that happens.
Right. Exactly. That's the end of that chapter. Then we're in chapter 8, Simple Countrywoman. By the way, these are all skims. The last one I might say is kind of a skip.
Yeah.
But 7, 8, 9 are basically skims. 9, I would say, is basically a skip, a skimmish.
Yeah.
Chapter 8, it's totally a continuation of the previous chapter, and I'm really not even sure why they took a chapter break here.
Right.
As we don't change perspectives, we're still in Perrin's head. We're not like that much later. I don't know. It seems a little odd to me. I kind of wonder if some of these chapters had been more mixed up originally.
Sure.
So that you got a little more variation. But at the same time, chronologically, all of this had to happen after the previous chapters when we had the Bull of the Winds.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, they ride back to Perrin's camp. there is some fun texture here, talking about like the Ashaman, and he says something about how they always seem to clean their coats every night and to make sure that they always look pristine. But boy, does this stuff slow things down. Among Megden's party is Sebin Balwer. We know he's a former secretary and true spy master of Pedron Nile, but Perrin doesn't know that. However, he does correctly identify him as a very observant man, and later identifies him as somebody who seems to have an axe to grind with the White Cloaks.
Right.
Megden rips Perrin a new one about raising the banner of Benethrin, since he's a citizen of the Queen. And
open rebellion.
Right. This is the point at which Perrin is like, she reminds me of Elaine.
Yeah.
Leanie curtly reminds Megden that she, a simple countrywoman, shouldn't be talking like that
to a lord.
Right, and she apologizes. Perrin does get to explain a little of what happened in the Two Rivers to kind of justify like the Benethrin
y'all
banner.
Weren't there when we were being attacked by Trollocs, so we defended ourselves, so we raised whatever banner we wanted to. Thank you very much.
Which Perrin's not even put off really by it, because he really doesn't care that much about the Benethrin banner.
Right. If anything, he's been telling them to take it down.
Right. He's just kind of like shrugs it off. He doesn't seem to be too set off by the fact that this is something that Megden is bothered by. But anyway, Perrin recognizes Master Gil among the party and asks him to tell the story of how they got there. He's like, "Hey, I know you." And so
he's like, "Oh, Perrin, didn't see you there."
Oh, gee, yeah. So he's kind of been hiding from him this whole time. And then Leanie lightly threatens Master Gil before, and he's like,
to tell the truth.
No, you sure? You better tell him the truth. And now you know how men can be. They're always telling stuff, saying things more than they ought to. Just anyway. Gil tells them, a bunch of half-truths and straight-up lies and about how they came to Gildan. Leanie later puts in that, by the way, while we're around, you should wed Megden to Talentvore. They'll love it. Anyway,
Perrin's like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's.
Since when do I marry people?
Yeah, that's. I didn't know that was an option. And a little bit later, Perrin walks over to Fail, who now has her own band of Kyrianan, who were trying to be like the Aiel. We've heard a lot about these people.
Now they have a name.
They are calling themselves Cha Fail. They're kind of her little private secret service crowd. And Fail is talking to Megden. She offers her to work in her service as a lady's maid, and Megden accepts. We swap to Fail's perspective later. This is later in the evening when she snuck out of their tent to meet with Cha Fail scouts who have returned from Bethal, and she thinks about how difficult it is to manage Perrin as a husband. And this is parts clearly intended to be kind of comedic, as we just were hearing this from Perrin about Fail, and she's essentially saying like the same thing, like both of them don't understand one another and think of the other as unpredictable and difficult to understand and everything, and it's just mildly funny. I hope they find some way to keep some of this
like the times where Perrin, Matt, Rand, whoever says, "Man, I wish I was like the other one," and how good they are with women. Yeah, some of that would be nice.
Yeah, these little things. Obviously, these are all, when I say find a way to keep it, I know it's all internal dialogue, and so they...
Right, it's tricky.
Yeah, tried to figure out a way to make it explicit or...
have it be something that Rand says to Matt, perhaps, about Perrin.
Anyway, the scouts report that things aren't good in Bethal, as people are running low on food. So there you go. That's the little tidbit. And then we swap to Morghase's perspective, who gets a visit from Talentvore in the night. They have a nice chat, and he gives her a kiss.
He's still pouty McPout face.
Right. I have to say that looking back on this moment, this is one of the better written love stories in the series. Which is odd because it's kind of one of the stranger pairings.
Right.
for one thing, he's a good bit younger than her, or at least that's the impression we get from her. I'm always a little confused about that because it seems like maybe he's not actually that much younger than her.
He's definitely older than like Nynaeve and the main characters, but he's like how old? It's like how old is she really? 40 maybe? I don't know.
Right.
45.
I'm sure,
I can't say for sure.
I'm sure it's on the Tarvalin library or wiki or the companion book, and we can find out exactly. We don't learn much in this little section other than Morghese doesn't actually really have a plan or any solid reasoning for why she's agreed to go into Fail's service, and also Talentvore just makes his affections for her all the more clear in this scene. So that's basically what we get.
43 according to Watt fandom.
Oh yeah, Talentvore is 43.
Oh no, Morghese
is 43. So Morghese is 43. So how old is Talentvore? I'm gonna say he's like 36, 35.
Is his first name Martin? I did not know his first name was Martin.
Wait,
with a Y.
Talentvore's first name is Martin?
Apparently, it's Martin. Martin Talentvore. That seems really strange.
I mean, maybe that answers who Steve is this whole time.
I know, right? According to Ebony's Watt fan guide, he's 26 to 27.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's a pretty big difference right there.
That's a little bit. Yeah, sure.
It's bigger than I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, likes
Martin, hot for teacher.
Yeah, likes
Queenie,
likes himself an experienced woman. So good for both of them.
Absolutely.
So, chapter 9, Tangles. I said, this one, like I said, you could probably skip it.
Oh, this is what I was trying to say. Perrin takes a walk. Yeah.
Yes. The outline for this chapter, Tarvalin.net, because they have the summary, but then they have just like a 1 to 2 sentence outline, and it is literally just Perrin inspects his camp. That is it.
That's what he's doing.
So it's a pretty blah chapter. There are some interesting things that are mentioned.
Yeah.
Master Gill is apparently part of the package deal that Megden was accepting the service of, and now he's coming to work with for Perrin and Fail. And Fail has put him in charge of procuring anything that Perrin needs, which really just means that anything Fail needs or anything Fail thinks Perrin needs. So,
right.
Perrin's not crazy about that.
Perrin's like, I just want to change this horse's hoof. I mean, chew, not his hoof.
I want to shaw this horse. Yeah. Anyway, Balwer offers himself as Perrin's secretary. This is where Perrin, kind of deduces that he might have a problem with the White Cloaks. Perrin does seem to have some understanding of how useful this guy might be.
Yeah.
I do think it's kind of funny that he doesn't really have a full idea. I mean, he can't.
No.
Of what a sizable amount of ammunition is now on his side. Like, he just got a plus 20 to spycraft added to his party.
Yeah, he did. Does not even register.
Yeah. He does see like, oh, this guy's probably going to be useful.
He's skeptical. He's like, I need to make sure that he's not just trying to get attention, and
right, exactly.
His information is good.
Yeah, which is understandable. And after some stuff happens, maybe it's important. I don't know. Probably not. Perrin talks to the wise ones, who all think that Masema needs to be killed.
They're very insistent about that.
Yes, they're like, kill him. It's like they're a whole group of loose Therans, in reference to Masema. And Perrin doesn't want to kill Masema, though.
Yeah.
Since Rand didn't strictly order him to, and he tries to change the subject by mentioning, hey, what about the way that you've been treating the captured Aes Sedai? And they're like, shut up. That's a taco burrito topic. Nachos.
Hey-o. Haven't heard that in a minute.
Yeah. Anyway, even the captured Aes Sedai are like, yeah, stay out of this. They go right back to comparing Massima to a rabid dog who needs to be put down. Like, that's
Jeez,
some
man.
pretty, like that's some pretty rough stuff right there.
Yeah, that's kind of how Perrin. He's like, yeah, maybe, but gosh, you're so rude about it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to appreciate Perrin doesn't want to kill somebody if he absolutely doesn't have to. Okay, so that's the end of this episode. This is a little shorter episode. I'm sorry, guys. I know some of you are like, hey, we like long episodes.
We will make up for it. We'll do an off-topic one that's going to be an hour at some point.
Yeah,
so,
we definitely we'll don't worry. You'll get some episodes from us. Just particularly in this season right now, it's pretty busy for me, and it's way easier to edit a short episode to get it out there.
For sure,
you may have noticed, by the way, that recently I have been having a hard time getting them out on Mondays, which is what I aim for. I think I got one out on Wednesday morning this past week, and maybe Tuesday the week before.
It's all good.
So, but anyway, so these being shorter, it's a big help to me because then it doesn't take as much time for me on the production end that way.
For sure.
And I appreciate you guys putting up with us. And as Sam said, sometime in the near future, we'll do an episode, and we are planning on doing another off-topic episode sometime soon, or at least, mostly off-topic because you guys seem to like that. Okay.
If you like what we just talked about, let us know. Email us at stuff@tsmpodcast.com. You can visit our website, fill out our contact form. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Podcast TSM. Check us out on YouTube. If we get some subscriptions, we might get to do a vanity URL. And as we've said, we would possibly do a live stream. So, that's a possibility. Another way you can help us out is by rating us wherever you get your podcasts. Write a review, tell your friends. Thanks again, and until next time, Tai'Shar Manethrin.